3-0. But here's a chance for Colorado. It is Navajo scoring Navajo. He's had his chances tonight. Not clinical in the first half, but clinical here in the second half.
It's just far too easy. One ball through from Mihailovic and one terrific first touch with the outside of the right foot. Takes it past the defender and he finishes really coolly.
And welcome to Rapid Rant, a division of Mountain Time Sports Report. Mountain Time Sports Report on Twitch and YouTube. You can follow us live stream right now, by the way. And of course, I'm Don Pablo taking you through. Host Emeritus Caberto not here today, but he will always have a place on the show. Coming up today, Rapids go to Houston, get a draw. Just saw pretty much the highlight of that match. Stop me when you've heard this before. Navajo scored a goal from Georgie, and Navajo basically gets the assist to Georgie on the penalty kick. Hoffa suffering the foul in the box anyway to drawing the penalty kick for the Colorado Rapids. Rapids do give up a late goal. And then at the end of the game, Zach Steffen gets the second yellow, red card out for this weekend's game against Seattle. So interesting news there. We'll talk about the Houston game a little bit. Seattle coming up, some midweek Champions Cup action for CONCACAF. Interesting there. Maybe no United States team in the final this year. Not an MLS team, but maybe not a United States MLS team, which Canada has a separate tournament to even get in. So Vancouver, taking care of business on their hot start. Number one team in the league right now. Of course, the Rapids falling to them earlier in the month of April. But overall, and by the way, much more coming up today on Rapids Rant, including I'm going to go a little bit into the NFL draft. We're talking about Salt Lake City, Real Salt Lake. They got new owners, which if you were here a couple weeks ago, we'll talk about new owners again, just because Salt Lake got sold. So we will get some Mountain Standard Time reports here, just because it, I would be amiss to not talk about other Mountain Time teams. And since Salt Lake is the only other Mountain Standard Time team in the United States, I suppose I'll have to talk to them a little bit, although we are Rapids Rant. Follow us on X, on Blue Sky. I like Blue Sky more these days, although it seems like people are staying on X because there's still more engagement there. So maybe I have to go back and still post there. But although it's a weird, wild time, I have like 4 tabs open when I want to post on social media: Instagram, Facebook, X, and Blue Sky now. And yeah, it's a mad dash to tweet all those things right before the Rapids start. And then when during the game, I try to just stay on Blue Sky, but I'll post other things. Facebook is also fun to do because actually, it's not just all knuckleheads on Facebook. We get some real Rapids fans and not just trolls that seem to be on X these days. But I'll stop talking trash about those things, and we'll get to some Colorado Rapids news here. Like I said, Rapids draw in Houston. Although if they win against Seattle Sounders on Saturday. How about that for some alliteration? They will have a winning record in the month of April, which is a very positive thing. Rapids in playoff position right now. Had it up, and I totally forgot where they are. They will be in 5th place, although they're tied at 15 points with Portland Timbers, who the Rapids played earlier in the season. They get another chance at that. So 5th place right now for Colorado, and obviously going against Seattle, who's in 8th place. So we'll see. Although they are on a pretty good start, not the best away record, only 1 win, 3 losses, 1 draw for the Sounders on the season. So that's a positive. We'll talk We will not talk to Armis. We will hear what Armis has to say about playing Seattle at home at the DSG Park this weekend. And in this week, fourth week in April, it's like a sports fan's dream. If you follow most sports, it's like a sports fan's dream. All right? Especially Thursday night when CONCACAF Champions Cup and it was two MLS teams playing. Inter Miami went across the international border to Vancouver, BC Place. They lose 2-0. Vancouver Whitecaps 2-0 win. And if that's an early test for the MLS season, maybe even a MLS Cup preview, even though we got 6 months before that happens, 7 months before that happens. So, early days, Vancouver, class of the league. Rapids go there. That was their loss this month. So, first match of Vancouver. And Rapids held them 2-0. Inter Miami 2-0. But Vancouver's been scoring on everybody. 17 goals to start the season. I guess that's actually a little less than 2 goals a match. So, right on pace there for Vancouver, but I swear they had a couple other games where they've exploded. Only one loss on the season for the Whitecaps. So Whitecaps going next week. I believe it is next week, not this upcoming week, but next week for the return trip to Miami. And Miami's got some work to do, down 2-0. We'll see if they can change that game to like a midday or like an early evening. To maybe, Miami uses that home Southern Florida advantage to, get the heat down there. That's what the Miami Dolphins do in the first month of the regular season in the NFL. They try to heat up when Tom Brady played. The Miami Dolphins always try to get the New England Patriots games early in the season down there, so they could actually get a win against the Patriots. Didn't always work out. Tom Brady's still winning record against Miami, but it's a pretty good home field advantage, just as Toronto and Montreal should have the freeze out the people early in the MLS season, but Montreal didn't even play a home game for, I think, the first until April. And they lost a coach there. Maybe a coaching change coming up, but I'll talk about that. Another coaching change in MLS coming up, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. So Vancouver trying to get to the finals. The other game featured 2 Liga MX teams. Tigres and Cruz Azul, they battled to a 1-1 draw. So it's going to be a Liga MX team versus MLS, but maybe not United States MLS team. And that'll be interesting if it's Mexico, Canada in the final. And I was looking, it's probably going to be one of the Liga MX teams hosting the final. The CONCACAF Champions Cup final here in a couple weeks. Vancouver is actually last on the list for that. So Vancouver could be going and most likely either Miami or Vancouver going to Mexico for that Champions Cup final. But it should be interesting. And I'm going to watch definitely to see what happens there because Vancouver might be starting and they've already had a pretty dream start to the season, but when CONCACAF Champions Cup, and might have maybe we already do have a new leader in the clubhouse for MLS champion 2025 this year. And like I said, so Thursday night, and the reason why it's a dream week for sports fans, obviously NBA, NHL playoffs, both Colorado teams are in the playoffs. Both Utah teams didn't make the playoffs, by the way. Sorry, Utah. Tough day. Also, Phoenix didn't make the playoffs. Phoenix Suns didn't make the playoffs. So the other team that's sometimes in the Mountain Time Zone, sometimes out half the year. So Denver, only representative in those 2 leagues playoffs. And so we had NHL and NBA, and that's why I got bags under my eyes because I've been staying up late every night watching that stuff. And then the NFL draft Thursday night. So we had CONCACAF Champions League, NFL draft, NBA, NHL playoffs, And today, Saturday, the Nuggets and the Avalanche both playing. Nuggets here in a couple hours at 4 o'clock. Avalanche actually start at the same time as the Colorado Rapids game tonight. So a couple of crunky teams playing at the same time this evening, Saturday, 26th of April. But I will be focusing on Rapids, of course. That is my number one priority. The guy that does he does the stats, but basically keeps the game feed for the Rapids. He's the hugest Avalanche fan, so we're just trying not to talk about it. Although press guys, we always pretty much give updates, and I've had many games ruined for me that I'm trying to watch. Sometimes Nuggets, sometimes Rockies. Although Rockies, the only thing we know is we're trying to get hits over there. 21 losses, 4 wins on the season. They're going. I mean, when people bring up the 1899 Cleveland Spiders, 121 losses. Chicago tried to match them last year, a couple years ago. But the Colorado Rockies, they're on pace for that. And man, 4-21. There was some bad weather here this week, so maybe we'll forgive some fans for not going to Blake Street and watching them. Atlanta Braves coming to town. Also, they get a lot of fans because there's a lot of Atlanta fans. And there's mostly away team fans that go to Coors Field these days. Maybe Bud Black. Could he be the next Colorado manager on the chopping block? I would say so. So, obviously baseball, though. By the way, baseball wasn't even on at the bar I went to when the NBA, they had Montreal Canadiens playing, and I asked about the Rockies, and I got laughed at. I'm like, what? That's a local team. Didn't even make it on the bar. It made me laugh really hard. So when your local baseball team can't even get put up on the bar in the NHL playoffs from the Eastern Conference are over or put above the Colorado Rockies, that's rough. And also I tried to get the Champions League game on, and it was 8 p.m. and that's when the Nuggets started, and I also got laughed at. They're like, "What champion?" It was basically I got laughed at twice. Tried to put the Rockies on to see how that game was going because it was a doubleheader that day, and then Champions League, and I'm like, all right, well, I had it. Luckily, I had my tablet, so I had it on there. So I had a 13-inch screen going there because I was following the draft on that one, just so I can see, writing down notes or whatever to see who's the Broncos have picked. By the way, Broncos going defense heavy because Pete Carroll going to bring that rushing attack to the Raiders. Justin Herbert, another year under Harbaugh in San Diego, and of course, Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, and we've seen their offense for the past 10 years. And whatever that team's doing over there in Missouri. So we had all those things, and it was a very immersive experience for sports fans. So we have that. We had last night, Friday night NFL draft in the playoffs, and even starting to today, and even tomorrow, the draft will be done today. But big MLS action this afternoon to this evening, of course. The national TV game, Atlanta at Orlando. That's 5 o'clock Saturday night on Fox. So it'll be most likely that's when the Nuggets will be on, and most likely at the Dick's Sporting Goods Park early youth night. Dick's Sporting Goods Park this evening. I saw face painting. They're gonna have lots of fun over there. And by the way, there's a photo opportunity. If you go down to where the terraces used to be, a gondola they call it now, down in the north side, there's a backdrop where you can take your photo ops, and you can stand over there when the players come out. It might be real far away from your seats, but if you want to go get up close, yell for the players. Both teams come out of that tunnel right there. Security has it cordoned off, but you can say what's up say go Rapids, get your photo op in the north end of the stadium. And used to be for just the crazy supporters. Me and Caberto, host emeritus, have stories from down there. Non-arable stories, of course, in our youth. From maybe the aughts, maybe the early, what do they call them, 2010s. And, not so much in the 2020s. I've been doing this podcast now for consistently since we brought it back since the year 2021, right after the COVID situation. But we started, of course, back in 2011. And, that was the early days of podcasting before it became real easy to get all this equipment. And even like studio cameras, like this is 4K, man. And it doesn't come up on that on the websites I use, and I'm glad, by the way, I don't need 4K, too old for 4K, but the youth, they laugh at me when they're like, well, we only watch in 4K. We only do stuff in 4K. Although it's funny, I was watching something and people commented, some YouTube video, and people commented, committing crimes in 4K. That made me giggle, of course. So, yeah, man, it's just a crazy sports week. I would compare it to September when pretty much everything, baseball's still going on, college football and NFL, and early beginnings of NBA and NHL right there when the World Series is on. Although the World Series bleeds into the first week of November now, so that's real busy time. And I would say this week and last week, although I think it's better because we get the warmer weather, the spring is happening, and we're leading into summer. And I like my favorite season, if we wanted to be personal right now, is spring. I like spring, even though there's no NFL, but I feel like I see less of the outside during NFL season than I do during the playoffs right now. And also, I am 41. I do play video games. Remember last year, Bombito, we had him in the press conference, and all the press guys there were, I think 20s, 30s, 40s. And Bombito's like, we asked some question. Bombito's like, do you know what EAFC is? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I got a lot of hours. In EAFC, although they just changed the name from FIFA, of course. So, yeah, I got a lot of hours in EAFC. I giggled. I'm like, yeah, I've been playing since FIFA 94 when we had, the big arrows to like show where the ball's going. And yeah. And me and I'll bring him up again, host emeritus Caberto. We have our battles. And actually they used to have like sayings or statements when you would win a match and it would be against your friends, right? When you can, friend codes came out and or gamer tags, whatever. And I used to have that as my avatar for whenever I beat Caberto. I put there's like a statement, be like, Caberto, luck is up, or something, like whatever. And he would do the same to me, and it would be funny every time. But yeah, there's some battle. There's been some battles between me and Kevin. But yeah, I played EFC a little bit, so that made me laugh. I'm like, yeah. I mean, although I'll say this every year, and obviously Nintendo in the 80s with that was when it came out, really, and Atari, Sega Genesis, whatever. The average age of a video game player is 2 years older than me. So now it's 43. I'm sure when I look it up next year, it'll be 44. So it's always older than me, which is good. It was a new technology when I was born. I realized that makes me be an old man, but it's a thing, and you don't age out of playing video games. I mean, maybe you do. Obviously, you get busy with kids and stuff, and people that do that kind of thing. And it's funny because there's another stage in life. It's like I have friends that now their kids are like, they're basically empty nesters. They're on cruise control. They're just doing their thing. The kids, one of them's already gone. Another one's about to graduate high school. So it's not easy mode in a way, but it's easy mode in a way. And then I got kids Caberto's going through it right now with a teenager and two not toddlers, I guess. Toddlers. Yeah, toddlers. So, you got them both in the schedule, but then your friends will come back out of the time where they can't leave the nest. And now, I have one friend that's poking his head out and doing social things, and now he has time. And now, hey man, that's my one of my best friends since middle school. And now he's opening up and having time again. And then heck yeah, man, now we're having fun. And I missed you, buddy. And now you're back. So and I was actually drinking with him on Thursday night when all that stuff was happening. And I had 3 screens going during the Rapids last week when they were out of town. 2-2 draw against Houston because of NHL and NBA playoffs. So I've been getting 3 screens out in the living room and loving it. Right now, it's paradise for the sports fan at the end of April, especially. And I was one more story from Thursday night. They put the Nuggets playoff game on the big speakers, and they refused the NFL draft because the Broncos picking 20th, not really much interest because and that's a good thing. I said no, we don't want the draft on the big, because if you're the Cleveland Browns and you're picking second, this is your Super Bowl. Cleveland never been in a Super Bowl. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you're first, or they actually picked, they moved up to second and traded with Cleveland. Anyway, if you're in the top 5, like, this is your Super Bowl. You're probably not making the Super Bowl next year, right? This is your time. You're getting one of the best players in the draft, and so we don't want to listen to the draft, right? And by the way, the Broncos have a luxury. We made the playoffs last year. We won't talk about the playoff game. Hopefully, they're on the upward trajectory, and that's a positive. But we don't want that. We don't want to play for the draft. We want to play for the postseason and just to add pieces to the team that is already looking like. I would hopefully the Broncos can win the division. We'll see. Kansas City's had a stranglehold on that for many years. But let's get back to some regular action. This is Rapids Rant. Maybe we should talk about the Colorado Rapids a little more. Although it's just like, man, as a sports fan, this is the time. This is the time of year. Although I will be in between the Rapids game tonight and this afternoon before the Nuggets start. I will be going outside, getting some sun. I don't live on the inside. I live on the inside, but I do go outside, and it's actually going to be a really nice day today. So hopefully that leads to bigger attendance at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And I think Rockies were out of town last week with the Rapids also being out of town, but I'm pretty sure the Rapids have been getting more bigger crowds than the Rockies. And the Rapids have the same amount of wins April 26th as the Rockies do, MLB being a month into the season and playing every day. The Rockies and Rapids have the same amount of wins. So if the Rockies lose today and the Rapids win against Seattle, the Rapids will have more wins going into May, most likely, than the Colorado Rockies. They host the Braves for a 3-game set, which is the funniest. That'll be look. I don't know. What other indictment do you want? Colorado Rockies ownership, and the only people that pay attention more to their team's media, other than the Colorado Rapids guys, is the Colorado Rockies. They have a lot more, and I swear that owner reads everything. The owner reads everything. The Rapids, obviously, Kroenke has 7 teams, and the Rams are in the NFL draft, and then I don't know, maybe makes precedence over their other teams. Although maybe Stan the Man was down in Los Angeles for their draft situation, and Josh was running around for the Avalanche and Nuggets. But yeah, I'm 100% sure that the Rockies ownership reads everything. So you got to kind of be nice, like, and the other thing is, people recognize Stan. You probably recognize Josh. I don't think people recognize Monfort, the owner, because he'll stand outside in front of the stadium before a game, and nobody will know who he is. But the media knows who he is, and I've heard some stories he gets mad at media for writing bad things. But I don't know what you want, man. You're losing 100 games a season. Like I don't know. Maybe the sport is past the ownership by. Maybe the money involved is also past the current Rockies ownership by, and this is not a story for Rapid Rant, but even when the Rockies and not they've been around for 33 years, maybe people don't remember. A lot of people don't remember how the Rockies came into existence and how it was basically we needed a savior to even own the franchise in the beginning because they had some trouble. But anyway, that's a story for a different day. But yeah, so the Rapids, please have more wins than the Rockies going into May. That'll be hilarious. And who knows? And that's the thing. That's why Bud Black, I don't think is going to make it through the season. But I don't know. Maybe the Monforts don't even want to pay another owner for that contract. And that's the thing that happens is sometimes a coach will stick around because they don't want to pay two people. And speaking of ownership and coaching situations, Salt Lake, 11th place. 3 wins, 6 losses on the year, 0 draws, by the way. So you're getting a result versus Salt Lake, who the Rapids play in May. I was just looking at this. Salt Lake coming to Denver. May 17th, that will be at the end of a 3-game and 7-day stretch for the Rapids. They play 7 matches in May. A couple Wednesday night. The Salt Lake will not be Wednesday night. The Wednesday night of that week will be in San Diego. So the Rapids, they'll make a midweek trip to Southern California and then come back to face Salt Lake. The other midweek match, Rapids going to Portland. Oh, man, that's going to be – so St. Louis at home, going to Portland, and then LAFC on the road also. That's going to be a tough week. Rapids, tough schedule, although every game is hard these days in MLS. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for that, and I'll bring back up Salt Lake. So Salt Lake got a new owner. Well, it was the same as the old owner. I was talking about Miller, and there's a car dealership. He has a couple. Well, his kids do. The namesake who the Miller car dealerships are named after, he passed away a couple years ago. But he used to own the Jazz. The kids sold the Jazz, but I guess they wanted to be back in the action because they bought Salt Lake. Yeah, Larry Miller, of course. Larry Miller car dealerships. There's a couple in Denver. It was real big in Utah, still is. So the kids, they got rid of the Jazz, but now they're the controlling interest in Salt Lake. And as we're talking about Montreal, who the kids are in charge over there. And this is a different situation because the parents are still alive. Like the owners of Salt Lake, they know what they're doing. They're good, and the older, the more mature people are going to be in charge of Salt Lake. It's going to be a little different than Montreal getting advice from the children, putting the 20-somethings in charge of the whole operation. Not that young people can't do a good job, but more than likely learning on the job in sports is a lot tougher than maybe some businesses because you're not some business like small business. You're not in the public limelight. You already have maybe a successful operation. We can't call Montreal a successful operation. And the stories coming out of the New York Jets earlier where they said the teenage kids are looking at Madden and they're giving their dad, Jets owner Woody Johnson, advice based on Madden ratings. Anyway. So Salt Lake, and we're talking about new ownership, and that's kind of maybe what happened in Montreal. New ownership comes in, new general manager, and they want to pick their guy, of course. So And it's going with the Nuggets. The Nuggets are getting a new general manager and more than likely, a new head coach here coming up this offseason. Definitely a new general manager. We'll see if interim coach Edelman stays with the Nuggets or not. But maybe Pablo. They're not off to a really good start this season. 11th place through the end of April, pretty much. I don't know. Pablo's time maybe coming to an end there, although they like him. He's been there for a couple of years, but new ownership, maybe new front office, and they want to get their guy in there. Pablo will have a good run, but you can come home, Pablo. You can come home. We'll take you back. It's like I said, Mini-Me and Dr. Evil. Like, come back, Mini-Me. You're welcome. We'll put your sign up at your retirement conference they had when he was the coach of Salt Lake, and he did that speech over here in Dick's Sporting Goods Park a couple years ago. So that's going to be interesting to see. And Salt Lake in the middle of the year, getting new ownership. I heard there's rumors / there's stories about renovating some America First Field now. So Salt Lake Stadium. They actually bought the women's team down there too. So the Monarchs in Real Salt Lake. So interesting times over there in Salt Lake. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it is only April, and the teams in MLS are going to be a lot different come September and October. Galaxy, last place in the league right now, 3 points. Although I guess Montreal has 3 points too. So I wonder who would lose a tiebreaker. I guess we can look at Supporter Shield standings real quick. So it would be Galaxy, last place in the league on tiebreakers. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Interesting times in Salt Lake. I've already been talking for half an hour. So let's get to some other Rapids news. And I didn't even see it, and I went back to look, and it really at the end of the broadcast last week against Houston, Zach Steffen, second yellow card. I don't know if it was for time wasting. I don't know if it was for dissent for the referee. I think he was yelling at the ref pretty loudly. Who knows what he said to him? But he got a second yellow, and that would be Zach Steffen. I don't know if we can call him MVP of the season so far. Obviously, the metrics say that Zach Steffen, best goalie in the league so far this year in MLS, which is fine with me. Let's make him the best goalie in the league. I would like for Colorado Rapid to win that. Yarborough, I thought Yarborough a couple years back should have been the year the Rapids won the Western Conference, whatever. But Zach Steffen is going to miss the game against Seattle, and with Beaudry hurt, he's out. Looks like we're going to third string. And yeah, there's gonna be some call-ups for that game. And I think the Rapids 2 are home. Yeah, they're playing at DU. Rapids 2 play at DU April 27th. So we're gonna get some backups, even in to be a backup goalkeeper for tonight's game. I wonder if Steffen will play Rapids 2 tomorrow. Probably not. Maybe he'll want to play. I don't know. Maybe he'll get the option. I don't know how that works technically over there. But Steffen out. Maybe if he wants to get some minutes, play some Rapids 2 tomorrow. That'll be another reason to watch that match. But I'll give you a couple more reasons to watch Rapids 2. Alex Harris, number one pick for the Rapids, plays pretty regularly. You can watch Strelnauer, who's a real young kid, and he's been playing for Rapids 2 for a while now. Let's see. KSB, Kamani plays down there. Ted Ku DiPietro also plays. He might get some time tonight. He's been working his way back from injury, so we'll see about that. Dude Rosa plays, and like I said, Strelnauer and Alvarado. I don't know if he's still with the national team, but the kid Alvarado, he's young. He made the national team, and he's kind of small, but he is so fast. Like I love watching him. But yeah, many reasons to watch Rapids 2. They're on Apple Plus every match. Sometimes they're on YouTube, but I'll watch those games just for that. To watch some future Rapids, obviously, because the Rapids they have a pretty big within the system mindset of bringing players up and turning them into something. Obviously, Vines, Bassett's. There's been many kids over the year, people over the years, players over the years, I should say, that have come from Rapids 2. Used to be called something else, and maybe it's called something different next year. We'll see about that. Other things to look forward to in May. I don't know. It's been announced that Rapids will be getting another jersey next year. This year. Don't know when the third jersey will be debuted. It was said, yes, it was said that the only time the Rapids are using the Headwaters kit, the second one, the quote away jersey, was the last match. So if you're wearing the Headwaters jersey once at home, I'm sure maybe they'll use another jersey at home. And then it came out that there will be teams that are getting at their jerseys, and the Colorado Rapids are one of those. And I guess I could look it up real quick. Yeah, it was announced March 29th that the Rapids will be getting their third jerseys. Oh, dang it. All right. Great timing. When I do interviews or something, that people ask me for a weird fact. Sometimes you start the interview off with a fact about something. I always say I'm in a NASCAR fantasy league. I'm in a NASCAR fantasy league. What does that entail? Well, based on the whatever race, you pick a driver, and that's just your player, and you get points based on 1 through 28 people that we have. So win is 28 points, and last place is 1 point. So of course, right in the middle of doing Rapids Rant / Mountain Time Sports Report, I get the honor of picking my NASCAR team driver of the week. So maybe I'll do it with you. I am 16th pick because I'm not going to say what driver screwed me last week, but I think, and I was like 7th or something last week, so whatever. Like going down 9 spots is probably a lot. Good times for people that are like, I don't care anything about NASCAR, right? So I'm sorry. Let me just look up, and I'm trying to decide. There's been a rookie. His name is Priest. I think I'm going to go him. You got to make sure. It's technical, but sometimes, like in practice, in today's Friday's practice, Saturday's qualifying, Sunday's the race, usually. Sometimes in practice qualifying, they get a penalty and they get sent to the back. So even if you qualify like 5th, you're still in the back. And the way we do it is by qualifying list. So you got to see, does he have a different car? So usually bring 2 cars. Did he crash the car during practice or qualifying? Because then he's back on the second car. Because sometimes you can have the fastest lap and then qualify 3rd, but you're on your second car, which is tuned differently. And you try to tune it the same as the first car, but you never know with these things. So there's that. And then we get I'm going to go. All right, let's get to the schedule before we hear what Armis has to say about this weekend's matchup against the Seattle Sounders. Is this? Oh, yeah. So teams that will be getting third kits this season. Inter Miami. Oh, and some have already leaked. Miami, Portland, LAFC, Kansas City, and the Galaxies have already leaked / come out. And the Rapids will be one of the teams. Yeah, so it says all MLS teams. And it's going to have the Trefoil logo. So if it's third kit and Trefoil logo, maybe and looking at the other ones that have already been released, Galaxy, the Kansas City Wizards, it looks like. If you want to look at this real quick. So Galaxy, that's the old colors and the old logos. Kansas City Wiz, of course, with their rainbow situation. They got a new coach. They need something to give them some good news down there in Kansas City. Although they have a team that's been in the Super Bowl many times, and they'll be fine. LAFC, I don't know. I don't know, Brown. I don't know, bringing the 1980s back or something. Timbers, I believe that's their old thing. And then Miami just doing their neon situation. So there's the third jersey. And I'm pretty sure the Rapids are getting a new one. Although if you look at that one, then it would probably be maybe the old kid. I don't know, maybe Colorado arching across the front as they had when they first moved to Dick's Sporting Goods Park. I always say I like the I think it was 2000 or 2001 when they copied the Italian national team jersey, and they just went all blue, and that's when Marcelo Balboa scored July 4th, I believe 2001. It could have been 2000. But I'll take those. But any New Jersey is always down for me. Didn't like the triangles from the past couple years or shapes that they had. Although I like the message about mental health. Longtime listeners know what I'm talking about there. But let's see what Armis said, and let's hear what Armis said about playing Seattle this weekend.
Yeah, listen, there's always something different and special about playing in our building. The way our players, I think, give our fans energy, the way our fans give our players energy, and I think they feed off of each other. We love the altitude. I think teams that come in don't like the altitude, so our ability to put teams in fast games and knowing that Seattle could be another one that tries to slow things down, and that's always a challenge as we try to ramp things up. So, yeah, look, we will reset it. We won't be thinking of Charlotte, San Diego as much as let's build upon it. We had a good performance against San Diego. We followed it up in Houston. Didn't get all the points, but now can we put 3 performances together we can be proud of and be able to throw everything at Seattle, because that's what it's going to take.
All right, there's Armis talking about Seattle Sounders. And I'm excited for this match. Josh Atencio, of course, playing his old team. Traded, I guess mid-season, you could say, right before the season started in the preseason, although you're already with your team a month. Came back from injury, been playing the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure he's excited to go against his old team. He's been pretty much a starter since day one. And, I'm excited for tonight's game. Armis said they slow it down. We gotta use the altitude to the Rapids' advantage, and I'm excited for tonight's match. Also out, as I said, Adam Beaudry, Stefan with the red card. Although they took him off the player ability report, so maybe he's playing tonight. I don't know. Maybe they got the protest in, and he is not. Let's look real quick. Yeah, Nico Hansen set to start. Although, like I said, they took him off the player ability report. Let's see if their Twitter has anything to say about it. Well, I guess 560 students are going to do the national anthem tonight, so that's awesome. Yeah, because he was on. See, Zach Steffen was on that one. It was on Twitter. But he's not on the one from MLS, which was match day 10. Today's match day 10. Yep, match day 10. So he's not on the one from MLS. Interesting. Who knows? Now I'm just setting up another question mark that I guess I should have done this research before the game started. We'll see. Let's do the standings real quick and matches coming up this weekend before I get out of here. All right, Eastern Conference, as I said, Charlotte, which that victory for the Rapids looks better every day. Every game match. They're leading the Eastern Conference, 19 points. Cincinnati is second with 19. Charlotte 5-0 at home. Good for them. Cincinnati second. Inter Miami third, although they have played a game less than everybody. So along with New England Revolution. So whenever those guys make up that game, Miami could be in first place in the league and Supporter Shield if they pick up the 3 points there. Columbus Crew, Eastern Conference, top of the standings, stalwart, fourth place. Philadelphia Union, as I always say, Rapids got their first round pick in the draft. So anytime they lose or go down in the standings, that's good for Rapids fans. They're in fifth place. Nashville sixth on 13 points. Orlando also 13 points. Eighth and ninth wildcard matchup as of match day 10. Chicago Fire, New York Red Bull on 12 points. City just outside of the playoff picture in the East on 11. New England Revolution 10. Atlanta and DC United 9. Toronto 7. And the bottom team in the East, Montreal 3. 0 wins this season. Will they pick up their first today? We'll see. I don't know who they're playing, but we'll talk about that in a minute. In the Western Conference, Vancouver 4 points ahead of Austin. 20 points for Vancouver. They are undefeated away. Vancouver has lost at home this season. We'll see how that works out today. Two teams with 16 points, Austin and Minnesota. Minnesota, I believe, is coming up for the Rapids. Rapids 2 lost to Minnesota. It was midweek. They had a midweek game, and they have a Sunday game. Rapids 2, a couple of matches this week. Now Minnesota, they don't play Minnesota for a while. So Rapids, no Minnesota for the Rapids for a little bit. And they haven't even played them this year. As I said, Colorado in fifth, 1 point ahead of San Diego in sixth, who the Rapids own a victory over. San Diego undefeated at home, 2-0-2. All three of their losses coming on the road. LAFC, seventh place. Rapids over LAFC. That's a sight for sore eyes from last season when both LA teams, finished the last 2 months fighting each other for the top of the league, top of the West anyway. Seattle 12, Dallas 12 in the wild card game right now, just outside of the playoffs. San Jose probably excited. They were last place in the league. They got the wooden spoon last year. Bruce Arena already helping their cause for the Earthquakes, even though they're right outside of the playoffs. Salt Lake, St. Louis, 11th to 12th with 9 points. Kansas City and Houston, 7 points. And 15th place in the West, as we've been talking about, LA Galaxy Although they need to hurry up and get in the playoff race before too long. They're out of CONCACAF Champions League, and Leagues Cup is not for a while, so no excuses anymore, LA Galaxy. Now is the time to rise up in the standings. And talking about rising up in the standings, we'll see the schedule for this weekend. I had it up on my tablet. Let's see. All right, so City going to Toronto, Kansas City in Cincinnati. Those games are coming up real quick. If you're watching this live on Twitch or YouTube, search Mountain Time Sports Report on those websites, and you can find me going live. Subscribe. You can watch me live, which is fun. Try to keep it under an hour. I'm already at 51 minutes, so I really got to hurry up. As I said, DC United going to Philadelphia. Come on, DC United, let's get a victory. Red Bull hosting Montreal. The national TV game, as I said earlier, Atlanta in Orlando. Pareja trying to keep the what is it? They're the Lions, right? Doesn't matter. San Jose in Columbus. Let's go Columbus. Who is that? Revolution. I got some weird things going on with their website. Anyway, Charlotte will be hosting the Revolution. Charlotte trying to keep their undefeated start at home extended. Nashville and Chicago in Tennessee. It's Austin going to Houston. A couple of Texas Triangle teams playing each other. And the only 7:30 game, the latest game of the match day, will be Rapids hosting the Sounders tonight. So hopefully Rapids get some eyeballs on them. The latest game of the evening. 4 games. 4 matches on Sunday. All on MLS Season Pass, Apple Plus. Minnesota hosting Vancouver. See number 1 versus number, 5, 6 going against each other. Miami hosts Dallas. The only team that I feel like the heat won't bother them. There are probably a couple teams the heat and the humidity won't bother, but Dallas is one of those, definitely. St. Louis makes the trek to the West Coast for the 5 o'clock match in L.A. And L.A. hosting 2 games tomorrow. Plus the Lakers, right? Like, L.A. must be busy this weekend. But they're probably busy every weekend. They got 2 basketball teams, basically 2 baseball teams and 2 MLS teams. And then Portland goes to the Galaxy. We'll see if the Galaxy can, do something. And that's the last game of the night. Oh, it's not national TV. I guess that would be Sunday Night Football, as the MLS has been branding it this year. So we'll see. We'll see. Big match for the Rapids against Seattle. Although if you're in the middle of the season and the middle of the table, fighting for every point. Rapids dropped a couple last week in Houston because of the very, very late goal. 8 minutes of extra time. I don't know where the goalie, the referee got that from. But as I said, every point, very important for the Colorado Rapids right now. Middle of the season, tough schedule. The Rapids are going to play 7 matches in May. Only 4 in April, 7 in May. So they're going to be extremely busy this next month. But good for me, because I like watching sports and Wednesday night games that I don't have to go to Dick's Sporting Goods Park and fight those crowds will be fine with me. And I think they only had – I got to look at the Rapids if they have any other Wednesday night games real quick before I go. July 4th is – what's that? Well, they got 6 days in between those games. I think July 4th is Friday. Perfect. July 4th, Friday. Good for everybody. Friday, a national holiday, being on a Friday, the 3-day weekend. Perfect. There's a midweek game. Philadelphia, Colorado. Nope, Colorado goes to Philadelphia. So that would be not a Dick's Sporting Goods midweek game. Yeah, I don't think they have one. I don't think there's one at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Unless, what is 10-4? That's a Saturday. And then Sunday's decision day 2 weeks after that. So, all right. All right. No, yeah, perfect. No Wednesday night games. That means no all Saturday games. Well attended, I'm sure. And then a couple of highlights coming up. Leagues Cup. Tijuana will be coming to Dick's Sporting Goods in Santos Laguna. Dick's Sporting Goods, end of July, early August. So, yeah, I'm excited for those matches. And then Rapids play Cruz Azul, who's in the semifinals of Conca Champions League next week. So that'll be fun to see them, although they're playing that in Los Angeles, so never mind. They're not coming to Colorado, but we'll see. That was one of those. I think Cruz Azul gets to do their home base over there in Los Angeles, as Club America did, and Zach Steffen getting the penalty kick to win against Club America last year, which was one of the highlights of the season for Rapids 2024. But this is Rapids 2025. End of April. Rapids doing well. Can they get a winning record in April? Send the youth home happy tonight. Youth night, Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Get down there. I encourage everybody. Go to the tailgate. Great deal. My opinion, best tailgate in Colorado. Denver Broncos gets too crazy for adults and children, but that's just for me. Although I like going to Broncos. I like going to every sporting event. So there's that. Let's go Rapids. Beat Seattle. Josh Atencio, revenge game. And I'll be there. Find us on Twitter, X, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on Facebook. We talk, and I try to keep up to date with every social media aspect throughout the season, 2025. Been doing it continuously since 2021, right? Yeah, so it's be our 5th year. And yeah, I'm having fun. Thanks for listening. I'm Don Pablo. If you've listened this far, God bless you. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other. Let's go Rapids. Beat Seattle.